Are you ready for a brighter, more fulfilling future? Well, let's explore that today. We're so glad you've joined us for Leadership Live, a partnership between Goodwin College and the Hartford Courant. I'm Kate Bolduc, and I'm here today with Dr. Sandi Coyne-Gilbert, Program Director for Goodwin College's Master's Degree in Organizational Leadership. Sandi, thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon.
It's my pleasure, Kate. Thank you for letting me come in and talk about one of my favorite topics.
Of course. And first off, we have to celebrate a milestone. I just wanted to say congratulations on your first graduating class. This June, you must be so proud of your students.
I am. And we graduated 24 people this June 8th, which is a wonderful accomplishment. And we're ready to move on for the next groups of people that we can be engaged with.
And next cohort is coming. So can you tell us a little bit about Goodwin's Masters in Organizational Leadership and why so many people are interested in pursuing this graduate program?
It's a great program, Kate. It's one that's very inclusive. It's focused on helping working professionals to take all that they've learned and turn it into leadership opportunities. We believe this is a great opportunity to look into self-leadership, and it helps people to find their way so they don't feel so invisible at work. When other people are getting promotions, how do you become someone who's recognized? And that's part of what we offer our students.
That is wonderful. It sounds like this program would be a great fit for a wide range of people. And as we know, many people are considering furthering their education with a master's degree, but sometimes they're hesitant to take that next step for a variety of reasons. So what can you tell us about the MSOL program that will encourage any interested individuals to reach out and take that leap?
Well, first of all, we know this is a great opportunity to get a grad degree. The problem is it is an opportunity, but there's always fear that comes with it. Many people find that they are afraid that they'll be unmasked, that maybe we'll find when they join our program they're not as smart as they thought, that they are not as capable. And the truth is that that's something that people have been dealing with for years. From Serena Williams to Leonardo da Vinci, people have feared that they weren't as great as others said. So it's called the Imposter Syndrome, and it's something that when people enter into new opportunities or a grad program, they find themselves at risk with what they think they are and what they really believe is going to be their experience. So what we do is we've established some guideposts, things that can help to bring people through the program. They're never alone, and that we help them to build their village so that they can get past imposter syndrome and embrace who they truly are.
I love that concept of village because it really is part of everyday life, and it definitely applies here. And I think a lot of people can relate to that fear of not being able to succeed. So thank you so much for speaking to that.
You're welcome.
I'm sure that people are very interested in learning more about the program itself, the completion time, the curriculum, and what this program will really do for them in their future. So can you share with us what makes this program unique and so much better than others of its kind, and why choose Goodwin for a master's degree in organizational leadership?
That's great questions. So the first thing is it is a 20-month program that is part-time. It's set up to be flexible for people who are working full-time. It also enables people to dig in and begin to apply whatever they're doing in the classroom. We have two delivery methods. It's hybrid, and hybrid is 3 hours in a classroom and 9 hours online, or a fully online program. We also, the program covers all aspects of leadership. And like many of our competitors, you would find that that's what you would see. But what you see at Goodwin, and why you should select Goodwin, is that we focus on self-leadership. We believe everybody leads themselves. So that's the perfect place to begin, to understand what you do, how you do it, and what your approach to leadership would be. Our approach here at Goodwin is also to study transparent, authentic, true leadership, which is ethical in basis and enables you to be a leader to be proud of.
That is awesome. And you know, you mentioned this earlier, sometimes people feel stuck in their careers. They may have been passed over for a promotion. They feel that they're capable of doing more, but they're really not been given the opportunity to do that within their organization. And then there's others who have been in their career for a very long time, and but they're not ready for retirement, but they still would like to invest in themselves, in their future, and they're looking for a change. So can you share some insights into how the MSOL can help people in this situation and how this particular degree will help them pursue their dreams?
Certainly. One of the things about being invisible is that you don't feel you have control. Back in '99, an author by the name of Charles Handy wrote a book called Beyond Certainty. And what he said is that we must begin to embrace our full careers. We can't give over our lives to our employers. And that's kind of one of the things that we focus on here at Goodwin. We focus on you assuming and gaining control of your career. Invisibility is not going to be a problem if you see yourself and your abilities and then position yourself appropriately. To help you to do that, we have career coaching. We work on employability. We do not believe it's about your first job when you finish this degree, but rather how can we catapult you to the potential that you have that hasn't been used. We also help you with writing. You know, there was a study done and it said that about 11% of employers believed that graduate students could write the way they should at a graduate level. We are not willing to accept that. Here at Goodwin, we believe that the ability to express and exchange ideas in an effective way is what's going to make a huge difference moving forward. Now, as far as people who have been in a career for a long time, and they're looking to, they don't want to retire, but they want something new. The Goodwin Masters of Science in Organizational Leadership helps you find your second act. You have wonderful skills and abilities, but the problem is that without understanding how to transition them into a new direction, you can't know how to make your life better. So all of these things combine. Being stuck is a temporary situation. We can help you to find how you move forward. And that's an incredibly important point too. This is an individual career decision. It is something that we're not trying to put you in a box. Like Deepak Chopra said, if you want to have out-of-the-box thinking, get rid of the box. Here at Goodwin, we've gotten rid of the box. We want you to be what you want to be and help you to find how to navigate those waters.
Absolutely, and I love that idea of the second act. And you know, we don't have to settle for the status quo. We just can take control of our future, and that's the opportunity that we have here with the MSOL. Do you have any last words for the viewers who may be interested in going back to graduate school for their master's degree in organizational leadership?
I have this great quote from Maya Angelou. She said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, then change your attitude. And the truth is, it's all about you. There is nothing that's more important than what you can do, what you can add. We believe that all of our students are natural change agents and will change their aspect of the world. To do that, you need to have the tools and abilities and the village that supports you. A cohort model is an incredibly important part of this. What we know from cohort models is that it embraces and envelopes you in a path as you move along. And you're never alone. And not being alone helps you to achieve your goals and feel more confident.
Thank you, Sandi. And that's so much a part of the MSOL and of Goodwin as a whole.
Yes.
And it's just such a wonderful organization. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And now let's take some questions from our viewers. Let's see. We have our first question. Okay, why choose an MSOL over an MBA? That's an interesting one.
Oh, yes. It's a very good question. First of all, enrollment in MBAs is not as strong and as robust as it once was. And one of the reasons is, honestly, Kate, an MBA takes apart all the pieces of business. It looks at management, it looks at accounting, it looks at finance, it looks at marketing. But what it does not do is it doesn't look at the person in those pieces.
I see.
More and more people want something more for themselves. They've been invisible at work because they have not been seen for anything they've accomplished. When people come into the MSOL program, they're looking at organizational leadership because it gives them a chance to improve themselves and to find out why a leader, an employer, should feel so confident about hiring them or promoting them.
That's a great way to differentiate the two programs. Next question. I've never taken an online class before. How does that work?
Oh, this is a very common question. And really, it's just a lot of what people might do. You're going to be using discussion boards and you're using a mechanism to communicate. An online class, we give you all the training you need. We have a learning management system called Blackboard, and we will use that. And we have a shell that's designed that helps to guide you through it. You take a short program so you understand online. But the truth is that you're going to be in an opportunity to communicate and communicate effectively in writing. If you're writing an email, if you're writing in a question right now, you'll be able to understand how to do it and do it effectively. So Goodwin supports students, and so does our MSOL. We support you as you adjust to an online class. Online classes are just a different delivery, but the mechanism is not going to stand between you and the material you're going to learn. And if you have a challenge that comes up, don't worry, because we have a wonderful IT department. We also have incredible support available to help you make that transition.
Wonderful. Sarah from Facebook asks, can you talk more about the program flexibility? Can someone work while in the program?
Thank you, Sarah, for that question. And first, I want to say our program was designed with working professionals in mind.
Awesome.
Everyone is, probably about 95% of our program students currently are working full-time. And many of them have families. What we do is help you to figure out the best and most effective way. John Lennon said, life is what happens when we're busy planning. So what we do is help you to understand time management through the graduate lens. That means not trying to do everything on a Saturday, but in digestible components, several nights a week or several mornings a week, 45 minutes here, an hour there. So you're able to move through the program, but not take up huge pieces of time, but also not avoid meeting any deadlines.
Okay. We have Joseph from Facebook who asks, does confidence or lack thereof have an effect on the degree of the syndrome for individuals? So he's connected with the imposter syndrome.
Thank you, Joseph, for that question. First of all, I mentioned Leonardo da Vinci, but Albert Einstein was afraid that he was an involuntary swindler. It is very common to fear that you're not as smart as you think, or that if you're drawing too much attention to yourself, it doesn't matter who the person is. Michelle Obama, in her book Becoming, talks about feelings of being an imposter. All of these people are high performing people. Your performance isn't an indicator. It is, however, about coming to terms with our expectations for ourselves and gathering the reality of our experience. Imposter syndrome is something that hits us at the times when we're the most successful. So what we do at Goodwin and what we do in the Master of Science in Organizational Leadership is to help you to understand this and to give you opportunities where we focus on helping you to see the great that you've done. If you can begin to improve your sense of reality about what you do well, then it gives you the opportunity to be able to share that, move forward, and grow your skills. And so we have we have the mechanisms in place. We also have the cohort model. And a cohort is a fabulous way of keeping you grounded and reminding you of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going.
And the fact that our audience can connect with the imposter syndrome
Exactly.
really means it's very pervasive. And
It
it's
is.
definitely something that we address right here in the MSOL. Olivia from Facebook asks, what are some ways to break out of your shell when you're new to a workplace and don't feel as noticed as other coworkers?
Olivia, a great question. First of all, one of the best ways to get known in your new environment is to start asking questions. Ask questions of people. Ask people where they went to college. Ask people questions. If you can get other people to talk about themselves, you can start to find the commonalities in experience. Those commonalities connect you, and that begins the basis of relationship. An incredibly important part of great leadership, authentic, transparent leadership, is the ability to create relationships. And by creating relationships, we create trust. All of those things are factors that can transform a somewhat, prickly workplace into one where you can have an incredible experience and become a high performer that's really impressive because you are part of the group.
So we have another individual from Facebook who also feels invisible and has some fear. Laura asks, what steps can I take in order to not feel invisible in the workplace?
One of the best things I suggest for people, I suggest this to my students all the time, is that you cannot get a reward without a risk.
True.
So offer to be involved in a project, get on committees at work. If you want to not be invisible, then make your abilities visible. Share your skills, share your abilities. Also, one of the places that I feel it's an incredibly important place that's overlooked. We're not grateful enough. If you are grateful and thank people for opportunities they've given you, or thank people for the time they've given you, or if they have encouraged you in some way, gratitude also means acknowledgement. One of the best ways to not be invisible is to not let others be invisible. So by being involved and engaged in the environment, one of the phrases that definitely turns people off is, well, that's not in my job description. As soon as you say that, you have placed yourself in that box. And once you're in that box, it's going to be impossible to move you forward. So asking questions, being involved, offering your skills, being grateful, creating relationships, these secure you in being part of that environment and also being part of their success.
Very wise advice.
Thank you.
Can any type of undergraduate degree be paired with an MSOL? So I'm imagining that means, to have an undergraduate degree, can you have any kind of undergraduate degree and then apply for the MSOL?
Excellent question. Absolutely. Leadership is in every industry. And so it doesn't matter what your undergraduate direction was. What does make a difference is that you are able to move forward and come into without any prerequisites. You don't have to take any extra courses. You get that bachelor's degree and come and apply. Come and talk to me. I've done a lot of teaching in human service. We've had a number of students who've come from human service. Business is a natural feeder. But I can't tell you the number of people in child studies who have come forward because they want to be able to transform their careers.
Wow. Samantha from Facebook says, I'm currently in the MSOL program. It's really like no other program out there, and this was the best decision I have ever made. And she said, hi, Sandi.
Sam, thank you so much. I think that this is, first of all, it may be Sam's words, but I think you'll find a lot of students who would say precisely this, that it has changed their life. we help people to find their direction and their purpose. We help them to find out how they can be a leader that they can be proud of. It isn't what I do or what our educators do. It's what the students do when given these tools and these opportunities to expand their horizons. They welcome and become passionate about their own abilities. That is a transformative experience.
Thanks, Sam. So back to the imposter syndrome. Gail from Facebook wants to know, how many types of imposter syndromes are there?
That's a really interesting question. When Clance and Rose first studied in 1978, this phenomenon they saw with 150 very high-performing women who all dismissed their experiences and their accomplishments as time or luck, something that was external. They didn't see anything that they had done. So imposter syndrome can hit you in anything. There are plenty of people, ask Lady Gaga about the imposter syndrome.
Right.
Why? Because here's a woman with Oscar and with all these accolades, and still the imposter syndrome took her down. It isn't if you have the imposter syndrome, it's if you want to find a way to work through it. As far as different types, it might manifest itself differently in different lives, but ultimately it's this feeling that you have a mask on, and that mask is what holds you up. And it is the feeling behind it that somebody will know the truth. What we want you to find out is the truth is you are incredible. Marianne Williamson has this great quote about how it's not how small we are, it's how large we are, that we're bigger beyond measure. And when she talks about that, that is what it means to unmask yourself and to get rid of the imposter syndrome. Some people will live with it all their lives, but we find coping mechanisms as well. So hang in there, Gail. There's a way around it.
Well, looks like Laura needs some help with that too. So Laura from Facebook asks, do you find that most people who experience imposter syndrome are people who are not passionate about their career, or are they people who lack self-confidence?
It's crazy because the imposter syndrome oftentimes manifests itself when you're most successful. It doesn't happen when it's somebody who hasn't shown their abilities. It's somebody who fears that ability. A lot of times it's because we're in a situation where we must be humble. An interesting thing about imposter syndrome, it's far more common in the United States than in Europe or in Scandinavia or anywhere. So what we ask ourselves is, how can that be something that can truly stop you in your tracks? People are passionate, but they need to come to terms with that they deserve that reality. They deserve to be successful. And that's, again, something that our program is faced in. We make you look at what you do well. From the very beginning, from the first time you have me as a professor, we talk about what you do well. Because if we talk about what you do well and you have to hear it, you have to accept it, you have to show it to me, then chances are you start to embrace. It isn't the end of the line. There are lots of strategies, but it's a good place to begin.
So it's definitely not about lack of passion.
It is not,
for
definitely.
sure. Well, we have JR who says, Sandi is a wonderful professor.
Oh.
I had her last semester, and she loves her students, and she loves teaching.
Thank you so much. It is so rare for someone to be able to say, I love my job, but I do. And I treat every student, I tell them that I will help you to the finish line. As hard as you work to get to the end of the line, I will work just as hard to get you to walk across that stage and let me hood you. It is an incredible time. It's 20 months of self-discovery, but it's also creating and crafting relationships in a low-stakes environment where you get to learn from other people learning just like you. The cohort model is a critical way that people stay in a program, but particularly in our program, we know that actually we had a student who did a research project on this. Students never came into the MSOL because of our cohort, but the cohort became increasingly important to all of them. And that's what I would say to you. It is an opportunity to study like no other. You will have relationships. You will not feel isolated. Even our online students comment about how powerful that is, that they get to know people even though they're not even sitting in a room with them.
That's great. So what makes the MSOL program unique here? I know you touched upon that before. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
I always feel like I should say, do you have a day? I could tell you a day's worth of why it's unique. It is unique because you are going to enter a caring, deeply committed environment. We hire faculty as committed as I am. We hire people who want to see you succeed. We also do things a little bit differently. You may not know this yet, but it will become an important part of your experience. We do TED Talks. Every student does a TED Talk, and early in their degree process. And from students, they will tell you it is a critical experience. If you can talk for 10 minutes in front of a group of people about a topic, often something that's private and personal, if you can do that, there isn't an interview, there isn't a presentation, there isn't an employer that's going to derail you, because you're going to know you and know you even better than you do now. So I think that's critically important. And we go to an escape room. That's right, I lock you in an escape room for 50 minutes. You learn leadership and how it feels in a semi-crisis environment, because leaders are tested. And we can't put you in an environment where there's any threat, but we can put you in a place where you have to find out who you are in that opportunity and how you would put yourself to work for others.
So this program is so interactive.
It is. It's
so many
very
opportunities.
different.
And TED Talks gives you an opportunity to really hone your presentation skills, which
Yes.
many people in business also want to do. Public
Right.
speaking is something that you learn here and you get comfortable with. Well, we have Chris from Facebook who says, once again, another validation, Sandi. This is a welcoming, supportive environment. Sandi is an inspiring leader and a great advisor to me and other students in the program.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's wonderful to get those accolades. It is part of the thrill of being an educator is seeing people change. But the reason that this program exists is because as many students as come through here, there are plenty more who deserve an opportunity to find themselves. And the world needs you. That's the funniest thing about leadership, is we can't have leaders without followers. And followers need someone who wants to help them to find their leadership journey. So it's incredibly important. And I thank my students who have come forward on Facebook. Thank you so much. You made my day.
Sandi, you mentioned a little bit more about the cohort model and how important it is. This question is, what is the benefit really of being in a cohort versus not? And how often do they start?
Excellent question. First, let me deal with the start. We start in the fall. And that's a typical time that everybody starts programs, is in September, because it's what we're all used to as far as when people go to school. But often we also have a January start, because people will decide as the end of a year comes that it's time. It's time to start, just like people go in and decide they want to lose weight or join the gym. This is a great time. So we have September starts and we have January starts. What's the benefit of being in a cohort? There are so many. One of them is that you have a community. People do not understand what it's like to go to grad school, except people going to grad school with you. They certainly understand it. But they begin to embrace each other and to hear. Sometimes we come in and we say, I want to be in insurance. I'm going to go into insurance. I've been in insurance. My family was in insurance. You get into a cohort and you start to hear someone talk, and you're going to hear them for 20 months. And over the course of 20 months, you hear them say so many things, and you know what? They're in healthcare. Suddenly, what seemed like the only one path for you doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Now it seems like, well, wait a minute, maybe I should look. So another benefit, not only the community, but the opportunities to explore. And again, as I've said previously, in a low-stakes environment, start to explore different opportunities. So employability is always the direction that we're going in. Again, there's so many other reasons to be in a cohort, but learning with the same group of people over 20 months holds you accountable. It holds you to standards, and you start to express yourself more openly and honestly. And to be transparent as a leader demands that you begin to understand how to build and earn trust. And that's what happens in a cohort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for joining us today for Leadership Live, a partnership between Goodwin College and the Hartford Courant. I'm Kate Bolduc with Dr. Sandi Coyne-Gilbert. Thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. Again, Sandi.
Thank you.
To learn more about Goodwin College's master's degree in organizational leadership, please visit www.goodwin.edu/leadership. Or you can join Dr. Sandi Coyne-Gilbert at our Hot Coffee and Conversation Breakfast on Wednesday, July 10th from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. And you can register at www.goodwin.edu/coffee. And that's right here at Goodwin College. Thanks again.
Thank you.